Hi team, it's Infinity Gamer here and welcome to my latest battle report, which focuses on some weird combined army inter-battle rivalry thing. So we've got my Shasvastii versus my opponent's vanilla combined. So this is a really good mission. I really had loads of fun. Obviously there were camo tokens everywhere, which was crazy. The mission that we chose to play was Acquisition, which is one of the ITS missions, and it's basically just so that I can get a little bit of training on some of the missions I'll be playing in next year's Intelcom, which I'm very much excited to be playing in. Very nervous, but yeah, I'm trying to work out the lists that I want to take to that competition, so I'm trying to practice and train and try out different things. So talking of lists, here is mine for this game. I have gone with the Mentor with the Shock Marksman Rifle, which is what I played in the last game, if you've watched that, and the Shrouded with the Combi Rifle and AP Mines. I've gone with the Nox Fire Team again. This time I've placed my Lieutenant in there. I've got a Paramedic, which is the same as last time, and a Forward Observer, because the mission we're playing actually relies heavily on Forward Observers. So he's also going to be my Data Tracker, which I think is going to be fine. And actually the Shrouded will end up being my Liaison Officer, which I need each of those for the purpose of this mission. The Caliban has the command chain of command, which means that if I lose the Nox Lieutenant, I will at least have the Caliban there as a backup. So I've actually got to maybe play him a bit more reserved than I would do before. Gwailo with heavy rocket launcher didn't do a lot in my last game, so I'm keen to give him a run just to see what he's actually capable of, really. The Cadmus was great fun, though. Managed to do some good things with that. Sea Soldier I've never taken before. That is also a paramedic. So I've got 2 paramedics, 2 forward observers, and also the Speculo Killer, who was insanely fun last time. Really enjoyed that unit. So what happened? Okay, so we did our whip rolls at the beginning. So we also drew a classified card, which was hidden, that we could each get. I ended up getting Rescue, is what I chose to do in the end, because I figured I'm pretty good at getting things killed, so maybe Casavacking something could be an easy point. So whip rolls, he won the whip roll and made me deploy first and go at the bottom of the map that you see there. In terms of deployment, I really had no idea what I was doing, as per usual, so I went with the Gwailo at the bottom left-hand side with the Seed Soldier nearby. The Nox Fire Team placed kind of at the bottom in the middle, or within 8 of the squad leader. Shrouded with his decoy, which is what you can see there. Then it was the Mentor with his mine, off the top of my head. And then I held back the Speculo Killer and had the Cadmus still to drop in. So not a huge amount to deploy, but it still took me forever because, you know, with Infinity, I second guessed myself quite a lot. Just trying to do the territory, trying to not make sure anything's going to surprise me. So I deployed first. Obviously, one of the things I chose to go first, and then he deployed. Again, very similar situation. Lots of camo tokens everywhere. Don't know what half of them are. So this is where all the camo tokens kind of ended up. There was Bit and Kiss. There were some Edrons, I think. So yeah, that's pretty much what I can remember him deploying. Then we go into my first turn. I, again, don't have a huge plan. So my intention is to not really do much for my first turn, because I realize that this sort of mission where you're trying to turn on consoles and where you get rewarded by having things in base-to-base contact by the end of the game, I'm not really going to win any points if I just rush up and do stuff and then lose it all. So the Gwailo moves to have line of sight on the model at the back, which I think is the Edron or something. Template shoots it, nothing happens back. So I move and shoot again, nothing happens. I do a big coordinated move then next with the Gwailo, the Caliban, the Mentor, and the Shrouded. I blow up, a mine goes off, which was fantastic. In terms of AROs, the Shrouded dodges. The Gwailo is then suffering an ARO from that guy at the back, suffers a crit and is blinded by the flash pulse, which is not exactly how I wanted this to go. So I do another coordinated order, put the Gwailo prone so that he hopefully doesn't suffer too much nonsense outside of my turn, and then move everything else twice. Then I move the fire team just to get some better angles, but no real plan there. Idle the Caliban, and then I push the button on the beacon thing because he's got chain of command. I succeed the whip, then I go back into camo with my final order. So as you can see, as far as first turns go, not a lot really happened. I wasted several orders on trying to get the Gwailo to kill something that just wouldn't die for some reason. And basically at the end of that turn, I'm at 1 point just by turning on the console, which is not terrible. Then in his turn 1, Bit and Kiss move up. He shoots a pitcher, basically like right in front of the Gwailo, so that if the Gwailo does anything, that's then AROs. So that's a bit annoying, but good to know that that's a thing. So yeah, that succeeds. Then the Edron moves a little bit. It moves up. The Corrunted moves, but faces no AROs, so moves again. And there's no AROs, so yeah, heck of a lot of nothing pretty much happening. I don't know, we know that each other has sneaky stuff coming. We don't want to overcommit ourselves, and obviously you only win in the last turn, so not a lot happening. He then spends a lieutenant order on the Corrunted, gets line of sight on the Caliban. I idle because it's still in camo state, and he goes to discover. Now, because he's got multi-spectral visor level 3, he auto-discovers, which is fantastic, obviously. So that's basically why I idled, was just so that he had to use that second short skill on auto-discovering, as opposed to me shooting back and then him potentially getting a free shot at me. So I was basically just trying to burn an order more than anything. Yep, he moves the Corrunted back and shoots at the Caliban. I try and dodge, fail. I don't think there's anything that I could have done differently. I basically forgot, if there's any special rules about the Caliban, I forgot them all. So it may have been that I could have had, I don't know, pluses to my dodge or some nonsense like that. But anyway, I fail, 3 hits come on me, and I fail them all, so the Caliban has gone off the table. But at least he's turned on the console, so not terrible. He discovers the Seed Soldier. Now, I played the Seed Soldier completely wrong for this whole first turn. He should have just stayed where he is. I think I ended up moving him in my turn. I had it as a camo token, which confused me because he's actually a seed in the ground or something. I massively screwed up the Seed Soldier, and obviously huge lessons learned because I messed up my opponent a little bit by playing that incorrectly. So that was it. So he discovers the Seed Soldier. I fail to dodge. He then does a coordinated order, moves a bunch of stuff. I know that's not terribly descriptive, but it's basically he tries to go up some stairs to potentially go for my Speculo, who's on the top of the building. He moves Bit and Kiss around, I think. So yeah, lots of stuff. And then he uses his command token to turn an irregular order into a regular order and put the Corrunted into suppressive fire, which is incredibly scary. I haven't really seen a lot of the Corrunted yet, but it's a big model. And yes, in hindsight, it only gets scarier. So then in my turn 2, my Nox Fire team, I change the team leader and then shoot at the repeater, which is good fun. Take that out straight away. So then the Gwailo can kind of move freely, which is fantastic. The Nox, I then change the team leader again so that the new one can shoot at the Kiss robot or Bit robot. One of them. Anyway, it's the Bit and Kiss team, but it's the robot. The robot shoots back. I'm -3, so I need 8, but he's -6. I get a crit on the robot, which is fantastic. So he's unconscious, but I think he's got double unconscious. So even though he's kind of out of the game, I'm a little bit concerned that he's got some paramedic nonsense which can heal him. So because of that, I basically get the Gwailo to crawl over to the corner, which was a full order and was a bit of a waste, I reckon, in the end. Yeah. And then the second order, he stands up and goes to discover one of the camo tokens. I pass, and it ends up being a mine, which is obviously useful information, but not as handy as if it had been something else. Then the Gwailo moves back to pretty much where he was and split fires with the template version of the missile launcher thing. Split fires between that, whatever that thing is at the back, and then the robot part of Bit and Kiss. Even though he's unconscious, I am just worried that an engineer's going to come and repair it. So I'm basically just going to have a pop. Yeah. So the thing at the back, I hit, it goes on fire, fails a bunch of saves, and is probably dead and leaves. So that's a success. So then I hit the robot, which I think is Bit. And then we find out that actually Kiss, who's just hiding around the corner, is actually within the template. So I get kind of a free hit on her, which is fantastic. The robot saves him, but is unconscious, so that's okay. And then she is on fire and then dies. So I don't know, just by my paranoia of not wanting to leave something on the table, I end up taking off something that was so much more valuable. So that went really well. Just again, luck of the dice, and small. Honestly, like that template was over the Kiss's base by like 0.5 millimeter. It was like the most annoying thing for my opponent because it was just not thinking about that 2-inch distance. So that's okay. So then I stand up the Speculo and go to discover whatever is on the top of the building. He AROs a mine and reveals that it's a Shrouded. The Speculo tries to go prone and the mine goes off. I try to dodge, and then the Shrouded shoots as well. The Speculo saves the Shrouded's shot. It's not easy to say, but it cops the mine because of the -3 or something like that. So that's a shame. So I lose the Speculo, but I've revealed the Shrouded, but because it's prone, nothing can really shoot it. So end of my turn 2, and it's still 1-0 to me, which is okay. So then it goes to my opponent's turn 2. I managed to hit his order pool quite hard in that turn because he ended up losing both Bit and Kiss and the thing at the back, whatever that was. So he's got 6 orders, I think, and 1 irregular, whereas I've only lost the Speculo Killer. So at that stage, I think I'm doing pretty well. But obviously time will tell whether I'm actually succeeding. So then something arrives from AD Deep Strikey thing. Fractor, I think it's called. It looks like a cool model. And he basically pops it so that the Seed Soldier, which I've been playing wrong, is a screen so that the Nox troopers at the other side can't see it, which is obviously amazing. That's great use of silhouette profiles. I go to dodge, change face, and succeed, which is good. He moves, and I ARO shoot at him. I get some really high rolls and basically win. Like he gets a 10 and 11, and I go to 12, which is fantastic, and there's no modifiers at play. He then fails his armor, so he drops a level and is in survival mode. Spends another order. He idles. I choose to not dodge this time and just go straight for a shoot. My 10 is beaten by his 11, but I save. So the Seed Soldier is actually being a nice little pain in the backside, just sucking up a couple of orders, just generally being annoying. However, the Seed Soldier then fails his guts, so he moves backwards 2 inches to try and get around the corner, which I was trying to avoid, and that's part of the reason why I didn't dodge beforehand and shot back, is because as soon as I go around the corner, his big Corrunted can then see the Seed Soldier, so I really wanted to stay there so that the Corrunted couldn't get a shot. And unsurprisingly, the Corrunted then spends its Lieutenant order to try and hit the Seed Soldier. I ARO, I try to dodge, but he's super dead. Like, I don't know, it was like all 4 probably hit and I couldn't do any saves. So it was like the biggest of overkills. However, on reflection, the Sea Soldier did a good job of sucking up quite a few orders. Fronted goes again. My camo token Shrouded idles, and the Nox goes to dodge. 4 shots come in, dodge on 4, but he has a 10, 11, and a 12. I get 1, 1, 2. So my save was rubbish. And he killed, and that was my data tracker. So that was not ideal, really, but it's just how things go, really. So the Fractor moves, the Nox ARO shoots, and the Gwailo goes to change face. The Fractor then shotguns the Gwailo straight in the eyeballs. I take 2 shots. The Gwailo ends up taking a wound. Then the Gwailo goes prone and turns. The 2-man link gets a 20, so misses. So basically nothing happens to the Fractor, and the Gwailo's taken a wound and turned around. The Fractor then idles. I shoot, the Gwailo shoots with a pistol, and he shoots me as his second short skill. And unfortunately, the Gwailo is knocked unconscious by another round of shotgun shooting. The Corrunted goes to discover, I believe it's the Mentor. I shoot and I win, but he saves. Yeah, that was the Mentor. You're going to notice that this is then a pattern that seems to develop throughout the whole game. He idles the Corrunted again. The Mentor shoots. I roll a 12. I hit and he takes the wound. He chooses to fail his guts roll and move back into better range because he'd actually moved forward into his worst profile. So yeah, so basically got a wound, but he's got 2 wounds and no wound incapacitation. So he's got 1 wound left and NWI. Then we go into my turn 3, so final turn of the game. I'm still 1 point up, which is good, but I know that this is actually the turn where everything gets decided. So I drop in the Cadmus right behind his Corrunted, and obviously a couple of tokens. A few things could ARO, but I think he only chooses to change face to the one I put behind, which was the Cadmus, and he guessed that correctly, and passes the change face, which is obviously a little bit annoying. I move the Shrouded to the corner of the little vehicle hangar, and I reveal to shoot the Shrouded. I hit the Corrunted, but he saves it. So then I do a coordinated move with the Nox, the Cadmus hatches, and the others don't really move much, the Mentor and the Shrouded, because they're already in pretty good position, and then they all shoot at the Corrunted. I feel like I've got to get that off the table if I can. However, the Cadmus rolls a 14, but that's too high, and then the Cadmus takes damage from the heavy pistol, which is the ARO that he does back, and the Cadmus is gone, so basically didn't do anything. I'm not taking the mine Cadmus, by the way, so yeah, that's why things don't go very well. The Shrouded and the Mentor get 2 hits, I think. He needs a 5 to save. He makes both saves, but one of them is a 6, so got fairly close to adding an extra wound on him. And he chooses to fail his guts so that he can move a bit more. I then do coordinated move to get the Mentor into the edge of the building, and then the Shrouded in base-to-base contact with the tech coffin, so that if it can survive, then that's me winning the game because he's my liaison officer. So basically I'm just like, well, I've got to throw bodies out there, because if he survives, then I've cleaned the game, and if he doesn't, well, I wasn't going to get it by hanging back. So yeah, the Nox up to the corner, so he's got a good line of sight and goes on to suppressive fire. Shrouded kind of chills near the tech coffin, and then the Mentor hangs up by the corner, just basically trying to stop him from getting the other console. So that's it. That's my game pretty much finished, and then it goes into his turn 3. Still 1-0. So he spends on a camo token to move it. I go to try and discover with the Mentor and delay with the other 2, in the hope that I successfully discover, and then he tries to do something and I can shoot at him, especially with the Nox and suppressive fire. Didn't go very well because I failed to discover. So then the other two, having delayed, gets to do nothing. Then he gets into base-to-base contact with the other, reveals it, it's his Caliban. So that gets revealed. He pushes the button. He's done 2 orders to basically get the Caliban there and push the button, so that's okay. And then he goes back into camo. Then he moves the Caliban around, and the Mentor tries to discover again, and the Nox delays. Yeah, so by triggering the console, we're now basically at 1-all, technically. So I've now just got to try and stop him from getting more points, which I don't know what to do. The Caliban shoots with a split fire, and the Nox shoots on suppressive fire. But I'm also suffering -6. He's suffering -3. We both miss with everything, so nothing goes through. But the Mentor survives. He moves the Caliban into pretty much base-to-base contact with the Nox. What I actually realised that he's doing is basically just trying to use the Nox to shield from the Shrouded, and also the mine that the Nox is standing right next to, so very, very sensible. I shoot with the Nox and the Mentor. He nanopulses, which then means that the Shrouded is caught up in the shooting, and unfortunately the mine didn't go off. So the Mentor puts a crit on the Caliban, so Caliban's I think dead. Then the Nox really kills him, but unfortunately the nanopulser gets the Nox and the Shrouded. The Shrouded tries to dodge, but it's -3, so unfortunately he gets hit. The Shrouded and the Nox are both unconscious thanks to that nanopulser shot. And I'm beginning to hate nanopulsers because my Speculo Killer got hit with nanopulsers quite a bit when I was playing my last game. The Corrupted then moves and shoots. He misses with all 4 shots on the Mentor, and I hit, but he saves. He moves again, I shoot again. I'm basically like, even though technically like dodge might be better, I'm basically thinking, I've got nothing to lose. I've got to try and chip 2 wounds off him in order to stop him, because the Corrupted is his data tracker as well, from getting to the tech coffin. And basically, if he dies, he dies. But I can maybe suck up orders, because he's actually running pretty low. I think he's only got three left. So yes, anyway, so backtracking. The Corrupted moves and shoots. He misses with all 4, but I hit, but he saves. He moves again, I shoot again, but he chooses to move as his second short skill. I miss, but luckily my mine goes off. He takes a wound from the mine, so he's lost both of his wounds, but he has no wound incapacitation, and he's still a few inches away from the tech coffin. So things are getting pretty tense. He's only got like 1 order left, pretty much, and NWI. So, and I've still got the Shrouded there, who can still shoot. He moves again, gets into base-to-base contact with the tech coffin. I shoot. I get a 10. He shoots back at me. I beat all of his hits, so I win. He needs to make a 9+ save in order to keep the Corrupted alive, claim the tech coffin, and pretty much win the game, because currently we're 1-all. He gets a 15, so he's safe, he wins the game. As a result, he also then does his liaison officer role because he's outside of his deployment zone, fails, but uses a command token to re-roll it, and then passes. So at the end of the game, he gets 1 point for the liaison officer, 1 point for turning on the console, and then 5 points for being in base-to-base contact with the tech coffin with his data tracker at the end. I stay on the 1 for turning on the first console. So the end score is 1 point to me and 7 points to him. But, you know, it was relatively close. It just came down to that last order and that last round of shooting. This will go down for me as one of my favourite games so far. Obviously, the fact that it all came down to like the last order, a couple of shots, like all I needed was like a crit in that last round of shooting, and it would have been a very different story. So even though the scoreline maybe doesn't reflect how close the game was, it felt really good. It felt close, and it was more just, you know, luck of dice rolls. Obviously, he used a great model to try and win the game, so he outplayed me, absolutely, but it was just a classic game in my eyes. So really enjoyed it. Huge props to my opponent for giving me such a good game. Fantastic scenery, Battle Kiwi scenery, of course. Love an Infinity, and obviously all of the comments that I'm getting from people on my channel. Thank you so much for the support. I really do appreciate it. And yeah, stay tuned for future battle reports.